What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to share a strategy so exciting it might even shock seasoned Bitcoin veterans. It involves one of the most volatile yet high performing funds out there, TQQQ. And yes, I will break down how Bitcoin fits into this. So let's dive in. Okay, so imagine a single investment vehicle that has an average annual return of about 35% over the past 15 years. That means you can 8x your money in 5 years and potentially 20x your money over a decade. That's the power of TQQQ, a 3x leveraged ETF, and it tracks the Nasdaq-100 Index. So it basically amplifies the daily returns of the top tech stocks. So this is basically in a mega bullish stance on the economy. So yeah, there's all sorts of stuff to know, but let's talk about Bitcoin. Okay, so switching gears to Bitcoin. Whether you're new to crypto or a seasoned veteran, you've probably heard that Bitcoin acts like a hedge. It's a bet against government corruption and excessive money printing. If traditional finance takes a dump, Bitcoin stands as a decentralized alternative. Bitcoin can thrive in chaos, and it also benefits from innovation and expansion in a flourishing economy. But is Bitcoin alone enough? What if there's a scenario where Bitcoin doesn't meet your expectations, right? This is the case for diversification. So I understand as a Bitcoin bull, you might want to think only Bitcoin, but I have a concept / perspective I'd like to share where I would argue that this is the god tier Bitcoin mega bull perspective I'm about to share. So it has nothing to do with MicroStrategy. This is a unique perspective that I have not seen online, so that's why I'm making this video. So this is where diversification comes in. If you've placed a big bet on Bitcoin, you might be wondering, well, what happens if Bitcoin falters, right? If you have 100% of your net worth in Bitcoin, I mean, all your eggs are in one basket. I would argue that's a pretty damn good basket, right? Because of the decentralized nature of Bitcoin and the amount of redundancy there is with, where all the data is stored and everything like that. You have more redundancy than pretty much every top company out there that deals in the business of data. So technically and structurally speaking, it's a pretty safe, but there is still risk. So what I'm going to suggest is a different kind of Bitcoin bet, okay? So here's a thought experiment. If Bitcoin truly solves all the inefficiencies in a market, right? Bitcoin solves the issues with inflation, monetary expansion, and all sorts of corruption like that. I would argue that all stocks right now, if Bitcoin really is what it claims it is, all stocks, I would argue, are undervalued, right? Because they have not operated under a Bitcoin strategy. We are living in an economy right now that has a massive inefficiency. There's a bunch of leakage, and Bitcoin is a new technology that fixes that leakage. My suggestion is, what if there's a way to purchase these companies when there's this leakage and the market has not accounted for the inefficiency being fixed, right? So what am I getting at here? So my stance is betting on TQQQ is an ultra charged Bitcoin bet, because you're basically making the stance that all stocks right now are undervalued. Bitcoin is a technology that fixes the leakage in the system, and you're going to be buying up these assets before they adopt this groundbreaking technology. I would consider that an arbitrage. So let's paint out multiple scenarios. So a scenario where you're holding TQQQ if Bitcoin fails, and a scenario where you're holding TQQQ and Bitcoin succeeds, okay? So first, let's consider a scenario where you hold TQQQ and Bitcoin fails, right? So this is a good idea, because if Bitcoin fails, you still want to be okay, right? What if Bitcoin doesn't live up to the hype? What if there's some odd glitch or event that people just flock away or something, right? Doomsday event, right? If you have TQQQ, you don't really lose if Bitcoin loses, right? And if the government continues to print money, and essentially if you still believe in the same thesis as Bitcoin, if you still believe that corruption will continue, banks will continue to be bailed out, corporations that are zombie companies that should die in the free market aren't dying because they keep getting checks from the government, because they are businesses that we do need. So we're like in this weird limbo of, I guess, it's not a real free market, right? And someone's benefiting when people should be losing. We understand that, right? As Bitcoiners, we get that. Well, if Bitcoin fails and you still think what I just mentioned is a real problem, holding TQQQ is essentially the same thesis as Bitcoin. By holding TQQQ, me personally, I am betting that the money printing will continue. I'm betting that corporations will keep getting bailed out by the infinite money printer. And, I want to benefit from that. So even if Bitcoin loses, I'd still benefit. Now, if Bitcoin succeeds, right? Let's just say your thesis on Bitcoin is correct. It does act as a hedge, but also a way to stop the leakage of our currency being devalued. Let's just say it really is what it says it is, right? Then buying TQQQ, you can take the stance of a mega Bitcoin bull, right? You could theoretically say, hey, Bitcoin really is this groundbreaking technology. It really does fix these issues in the economy with inflation, everything I just mentioned before. And if we've gotten this far in humanity operating with this high level of leakage, imagine a world where we adopt a technology and what the economy would look like with a technology that fixes those problems. Like, if inflation really is this massive boogeyman that's handicapping the entire economy, what happens to the economy when you fix that? I would argue if you can fix a huge problem that affects 500 to 2,000 companies, the economy is going to do pretty well. So if Bitcoin succeeds, I would argue TQQQ goes up, right? But if Bitcoin fails, but the government continues to be corrupt, TQQQ would still theoretically go up. So this is my way to basically bet that the corruption is going to continue, money printing is going to happen, the biggest companies are going to get bailed out with the little guy's dollar. But it removes the risk of, okay, well, I might be right on my thesis, but Bitcoin might not be the tool for it. This is the concept of diversification. So my thesis is still standalone, but I'm using two different tools to attack it. TQQQ and Bitcoin. So TQQQ serves as a diversified hedge in case Bitcoin stumbles, and it can potentially amplify your returns if Bitcoin succeeds and basically pumps the entire market. So thank you so much for watching. None of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a dude on the internet trying to think outside the box. This is just my perspective. This is just my opinion, man.